All right. I love it. I love watching people flood in right at the beginning. Very, very fun. I love it that so many people are waiting and ready to go for this on a Thursday. For most people, Thursday, it's really, really wonderful. Hey, as you all are coming in, I know people start to say where they're from and stuff in the chat today. Always want to welcome that today. Like usual, want to ask you guys a fun question to get us going as well. So as you're letting us know where you're from in the chat, here's our icebreaker question for the day. And you can pick between two ways of answering this question. What was your first job, or what was your favorite job of all time? First job or favorite job of all time? I'll go ahead and kick us off, and I'll answer both. My first job was when I was 12 years old, and I got a job for an entire summer, uh, walking through neighborhoods and putting flyers on doors for a pest control company. And for those of you here in the States, I got 2 cents per flyer that I handed out. I won't tell you how long ago it was, but it was a long time ago. And that was my first job. And it was definitely not my favorite job. And my favorite job, and I'm going to let Mark and I off the hook here and say that we can't say Lagos, right? Like, it's got to be outside Lagos. Um, my favorite job of all time was, I believe, for me, it was I got a job right out of college, working at a summer camp for an entire summer, and it was maybe the most fun I had ever had working at any job. I loved it so much. And then it ended at the end of summer, and like going to summer camp, you get the summertime blues after it's all over and done with. Mark, how about you?
My first job was working for a library as they were digitizing their catalog, getting off the old index cards onto computers.
Oh,
16 years
yeah.
old. Yeah, that was a great job, and I learned loads about books and at the time as well. Favorite job is tricky. I've really enjoyed all my jobs, honestly, and had lots of them. So yeah, I'll take a pass on that one if I'm not allowed to say my current job.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yeah, we got a lot of good answers coming in. I've seen McDonald's. I've seen Butcher. Um, and Butcher was favorite job, by the way. Love that. Very, very good. What else? Another McDonald's. Baskin Robbins ice cream. Oh, there's a lot of good, a lot of fast food I'm seeing. That's a good entry level job, isn't it? It's a good first job for people to get worked into kitchen at a local pizza place. Oh yeah, pizza sauce on lots of pizzas. Oh man, there's some goodies here. All right, well, let's go ahead and officially get started here. And I wanted to just say at the top, you guys know, if you've been to these before, we like to do Q&A kind of in the middle and a little bit at the end if we have time. And we get lots of different types of questions, and we inevitably don't have time to answer most of them. And I wanted to let you guys know what I try and prioritize. I try my best to prioritize, and I'll do the same today. But this may give you a little bit of insight in terms of what kind of questions you want to ask. But I try to prioritize questions as they relate to what we're covering for the day. We do sometimes get, well, pretty much every time we get a decent amount of support related questions as well. And I just want to let you know, it's not that we don't want to answer those. I just want to try and give focus to the things that we're covering for the day. And we also have a lot of support help online at support.logos.com, and we've got a support team. And so a lot of those questions could be answered for, when we've got a big group of people like this. They could be answered much more easily just Googling it or looking at support.logos.com. So anyway, that said, I do want to say this. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is going to be our newest Logos feature and release and update webinar, and where we show off what's new, what's recently been released in Logos, and give you a little bit of a sneak peek about what's coming up here in future versions of Logos. We are really, really excited and happy to have all of you joining us today. My name is Mike Brown, and I am the Director of Customer Success here at Logos. And co-hosting with me today, as usual, is Mark Barnes. He is our principal product manager for Bible study tools here at Logos, and really largely responsible for any changes and updates and things like that, roadmap that you see in Logos. So we are always glad to have Mark here with us to walk us through what's been recently released and share with us what's coming up next. So before I hand things over to Mark, on that note, as I started with on Q&A, I just want to say, if you want to ask us questions, really, I want to try and focus mostly on the questions that are related to what Mark is going to be showing us today. That said, if you do have them, please put them in the Q&A section. At this point in time, we kind of don't really have the attention span to be able to look at chat and Q&A. It's difficult to focus on all of it. A lot's happening at one time. So put your questions in the Q&A, and we will do our absolute best to answer as many of those as we possibly can throughout our time together. Okay, so today we're going to be showing off what's been released in our latest version, which is version 43. I say that because if you're using an older version of Logos and some things look different, you might wonder why. That is likely why. It's okay if they look different. Don't freak out. We're still really glad you're here. We want you to stick around because there's going to be lots of things that you can learn, and we really want you to get excited about what's happening here at Logos. So at this point, I am going to hand things over to Mark to show us what's been shipped in the most recent version of Logos, which was on Tuesday, which is going to be version 43. So Mark, go ahead, take it away.
Thank you very much, Mike. Well, as always, we've got a lot to show you. I think a Logos subscription is the best way to get most out of Logos. But if you're not yet a subscriber, you'll be glad to know that we haven't forgotten you. And there are actually several improvements for you too in version 43, which just released earlier this week, both on desktop, web, and on mobile. So I'm going to start here on my Windows computer, and I am logged in as a free user. Now, the biggest change for people who are not subscribers is to Factbook. So let me open Factbook. And you'll immediately see that some of the improvements that we previously brought to subscribers are now available to all users. So in particular, you'll see this really nice looking header, but more practically then, the lens bar is now available to everyone. So if you're a subscriber, you'll have been enjoying the lens bar for a long time, but let me give a quick refresher to those who are not yet subscribers. So the lens bar allows you to view a topic from different perspectives. So if at the moment I'm on the all lens, and that means I can see every single Factbook section if I was to scroll all the way through. But if I switch over to the theological lens, you'll now see that I'm looking at this topic from a theological perspective. So my dictionary entry is from a theological dictionary. If I look down to the dictionary section, you'll see all the dictionaries listed here are theological dictionaries. The same with the journals. These are all theological journals that are being displayed here. So we get in that theological perspective, I guess a little bit like the Theology Guide does. On the other hand, though, if I switch to the biblical lens, I'm now getting a biblical perspective. Instead of seeing something from a theological dictionary, I see something from a Bible dictionary. And when I scroll down, I'm getting information from the Bible about this particular topic. I guess it's a little bit like the Passage Guide, perhaps, in that respect. And if I go to the library lens, then this time I'm not going to see any information from my Bible, and I'm not going to see any data sets, but I am going to see all of the content from my library, whether that be sermons or journal articles or dictionaries or books to read or whatever it might be. So these now are free to everybody, those visual improvements in Factbook and the lens bar. Now, while I was on that biblical lens, you might have noticed something else that was also new, that even though I'm using the free edition of Logos, there is now a people, places, and things section, which again was previously limited just to subscribers. Now, what we're doing here is that we're giving non-subscribers the chance to benefit from some of the data in the new sections. So you're not going to get the full experience that subscribers get, but you will get a meaningful preview. That's the idea. So in this relative section, for example, we're on the page for Jesus, as you can see. One of the relatives, therefore, is Joseph, and you can see that there's actually 10 more that subscribers will get but you're not able to see that until you subscribe, or at least until you take out a free trial. Same with various interactions here. So Jesus had lots of interactions with his disciples in different places. I can view all the interactions with his disciples. You can see that, as you can imagine, there are lots of them. I can fully interact with all of this. I can see, Jesus's disciples here color-coded in blue, and Jesus is color-coded in yellow here. And I can keep going all the way through and see everything there is to know about Jesus's interactions with his disciples. But what I'm not able to do with a free account is to see Jesus's interactions with other people. I'd have to subscribe to do that. So the idea here is that we hope that the little bit of data that we show is useful to you, and it's worth having that for free, even if it's not complete. But secondly, we also hope that being able to see these sections will help you better understand what's included in a subscription, and it will help you judge whether it's worthwhile for you to take out a free trial or not. So we've done that for the people, places, and things section. We've also done it for the biblical event section, or at least this featured part. The outline was already free, but featured events is now also available as a preview. And we've also done it for the reported speech section, either for featured speech or for times when Jesus speaks to other groups of people, disciples in this case, or when he hears from those people as well. Now, you'll notice that each of these sections has a little star in the header. And if I hover my mouse over that, if you've got really good eyesight, you'll be able to see that it says that that section contains features or content available in a subscription. So that's your little notification, as it were, that you will need for subscription to see this in full. Now, of course, you might think, well, I'm not really interested in that. I don't want that cluttering up all the way if I can't see it. And if that's the case, that's absolutely fine. All you need to do is click on the header. You can see that that'll be collapsed then. And when you want to get back to it at any point, you can simply click on the header again to expand that section. But if you want to collapse those, you're able to do so. So that's the first major change, big improvements to Factbook for non-subscribers. And those improvements, by the way, are available on all three platforms. They're available on desktop, on web, and on mobile. Now, I want to show you two more changes, but as you probably just noticed, to do that, I needed to switch to a different account that's got more books than just that free account had. So while Logos is restarting, let me explain something that probably you don't think about very often, but I can assure you that if you were a Logos developer or a product manager like me, it's something that you'll think about far more often than probably you want to, and that is the question of Bible versification. Now, for most part, all Bibles have the same versification. So John 3:16 is always called John 3:16 in every Bible, but it's not true for every verse in the Bible. So for example, if I was to open my ESV, and then I was to open my Lexham Hebrew Bible, and let's link those two together. So I'm sure you've seen this before, where you link two Bibles together, and when you scroll one Bible, it scrolls another. And I will go in my Hebrew Bible to Joel 3:1. And when I go to Joel 3:1, you can see that in my English Bible, it actually goes to Joel 2:28. Now, the important thing to know here is that's the same verse. The numbering is different, but it's the same verse. And Logos knows that. And that's why it makes that adjustment. And there's lots of places in the software where we're taking that into consideration, and we map between one verse system and another verse system. But there's a couple of places where we haven't been doing that as well as we would have liked, and we've made some improvements to that in this version. Now, for some of you, this won't matter at all, but if you're a German user, German Bibles follow a different versification scheme often to English Bibles, or maybe you have your Hebrew Bible as your top Bible, because that's, as we've seen, is often different as well, then I think you're going to be delighted with the improvements that we've made. So the first thing that we've done is that we've improved it in search. So if I search for a Bible reference in search, I'll do a precise search, and I'm going to do this for Joel 3:1. again. Now, as I search for Joel 3:1, you will find that it's using now the how does it know which one to use? There's a question. Do I mean Joel 3:1 as what the ESV has it, or do I mean Joel 3:1 as the Lexham Hebrew Bible has it? Which one of those do I mean? Well, we used to always just follow the standard English versification and assume that's what you meant. But what we're now doing is we're now looking at your top Bible and we're interpreting the reference as your top Bible would. So if your top Bible is a Hebrew Bible, then we'll use that versification. And you can see here as I go down that I'm getting references to Joel 2:28 and so on, even though I typed in Joel 3:1, because search now knows that that is the same verse. The other thing that I want to show you, if I let's open a resource here. Let's just choose this one. As I open this, and sometimes I will get differences. So that reference says 2:28 to 3:21, but I've got my Lexham Hebrew Bible prioritized most, and in the Hebrew Bible, it's not 2:28 to 3:21, it's 3:1 to 4:21. And again, if you've got really good eyesight, you'll be able to see on that that pop-up that comes up here. We're also displaying that on the pop-up now, just to make it easier to understand why maybe the Bible reference in your pop-up is different to the Bible reference in the resource that you're looking at. And that is a standard way that you'll often see in textbooks to put one reference normally and then the kind of second reference, as it were, in square brackets. So hopefully that will be familiar with the sort of people who run into this problem. And if you're not somebody who has a German Bible as your favorite Bible or a Hebrew Bible as your favorite Bible, then nothing changes for you and you can carry on as you are. But if that is you, then hopefully that will make it a little bit easier to navigate for you. Now, I've got one more improvement that I want to show you on desktop, and then I'm going to go across to the mobile app. So let me open my ESV again. And what we've brought to this version 43, is we have brought Smart Search to inline search in Bibles. I'm going to make this panel just a little bit wider. I've made all of this bigger to make it easier for you to see. So you can see now that we have a little drop down here where we can choose between the precise search engine, that's the one that you've enjoyed previously, and the smart search engine, which is the one that uses AI. So this wasn't available until version 43. So that means now I can use natural language to search my Bible. So if I type in something like, I don't know, times people got hungry. It is definitely dinner time in my time zone, but so I don't know if that's a little Freudian slip to think of that particular topic. But as you can see, as we go through this now, my Bible is filtered to times people got hungry, and you can see all of the examples there. Now, in the search panel, where Smart Bible Search has happened before, that ranks verses according to their relevance and importance. But here in inline search, we're showing verses in canonical order. Now, there is an option, you can see it here, to send that search to the search panel. If I click on that, you'll see that that opens in the side. And here you can see then Matthew 4:2, where Jesus, after his fast, that is what the AI thinks is the most relevant and important verse. So it's putting that at the top. But of course, in the search, in the Bible itself, we're showing them in canonical order instead. You can go the other way. I showed you how to get from the Bible to the search panel by clicking Send to Search. But if I close this down, I can go the other way by hitting this panel menu here, and you can see there's a Send to Inline Search option. So I can click that, and now I'm back my search over here in my Bible. So this inline search, Smart Bible Search, is available to all subscribers. But if you're not yet a subscriber, you can get limited access to that feature, just as you were able to before in the search panel. You can get that same access in inline search, even if you're not a subscriber, and use that a limited number of times. So smart inline search works on both desktop and web at the moment, and support for mobile will be coming in version 44. That's in mid-August. Okay, well, speaking of mobile, we've got some great updates for you there as well. So I'm quickly going to swap over and show you the, if I can find my right screen, here it is, to show you some improvements that we've made to the mobile app as well. Now, again, just as I was before, I am showing you a free user account here because that's where some of the changes are. So you can see that again, like we did with Factbook, we're also in Insights giving limited access to subscription features, even if you're not a subscriber. So we did that previously in the previous version for the related passages, rated books section. You can see that there at the top. But we've also done that now in the related passages section. So you can see here that I have a cross-reference and a parallel passage card that's relevant for this verse. And we don't show you these cards all of the time. We only show you these cards if there is in fact a parallel passage or a cross-reference for that particular verse. Now, in the case of parallel passages, we just tell you that we found one, but I'm afraid we don't tell you what that is. But for cross-references, we do give you one of the cross-references for that passage, and we show you that we're able to give you more if you wanted them. And I can tap on either of these cards if I wanted to, and I would then get the opportunity to start a free trial. And that's the information there. I'm not going to do that now. So the same is true for the Factbook card right down here at the bottom. You can see that it's listing all of the people, places, and things that are found in Matthew 11:24. If I just tap on maximize, you can see all of those are listed. And if I wanted to, I could see all about Jesus Christ. That's often a quick way if you're reading and you think, oh, I wonder who this person is. The Factbook card here in Insights is a great way of answering that question. Obviously, we know who Jesus is, but maybe it would be someone more obscure in another verse. We get information then from the Bible dictionary. We can open Factbook to study that person in more detail, or we can search for that person. Now, if you're not a subscriber and then you try and tap on one of the other people, places, or things in the list, you won't be able to see information about the other people. It's only the first person that you'll be able to see, or the first place, or the first thing. And again, we show you that little upsell, and that allows you to get that subscription or that free trial if you want to be able to do that. Now, the same thing that I said in Factbook is true here as well, that if you don't want to see those things, let's say you're not interested in related passages, you can just tap on the header. And as you can see, that then goes away. Same for Factbook and all of the other sections. Indeed, you can collapse those and they will disappear for you. Now, the Insights improvements are not just about showing the benefits of a subscription. We've also made an improvement to translation cards, which are available to, I think, Logos Max subscribers, at least in English, and anyone who's previously bought that feature. So if you bought it with L10, then this update is available for you as well. So I'm just going to switch to a version of the app that has translation. And let me go to a non-English book. Hebrew Bible was the quickest one to do, and you can see that because it is not, I speak English, my iPad is set up in English, but this is not in English, so I get this translation card. Can you see it there at the bottom of the screen? And what we're able to do now is we can tap on that translation card, we can maximize it, we can see all of the translation there in that card. In previous versions of Logos, you'd have to tap on the translation, you get a little pop-up, then you wouldn't be able to see the original text behind it, then you'd have to close and move to another place. Well, now it's all integrated into the sidebar, and I can click the little settings icon. Could you see that there at the top? And I can change the language, and you can turn those translation cards off as well if you don't want them. Remember that if that translation card is visible as I scroll through the text, then the translation is going to update, and that will use AI credits. So if that's something you're not interested in, I think it's definitely worth a collapse in that section to make sure you're not using translation credits that you don't want to. Now, that was the translation card, but there's other things in Insights that I want to show you as well. And this possibly is my one of my favorite improvements. It's very small, but it makes a big difference, I think, to how you use things. Can you see there in cross-references? I've got cross-references, all kind of passages. And maybe I want to know, well, what's that Ezekiel 25, 8 to 11 reference there? Well, previously, if I'd have tapped on that, it would have navigated my Bible to Ezekiel 25, verse 8. I would have lost my place. But that doesn't happen any longer. When I tap on that card, on that Bible reference rather, it brings up the text in a pop-up, just as it did in resources, and just as it has done on desktop and on web. Now, it's showing me the Lexham Hebrew Bible. That's because I prioritized that Bible earlier. It's just going to show you whatever your favorite Bible is there. And that's true, obviously, on any of these references. Now, that works in Insights. It works also in Factbook, so it's new for Factbook as well. But the very favorite place for these little pop-ups to work, in my view, is in preaching mode. So let me switch to preaching mode. Here it is. And let's choose that particular sermon. Now, I don't know if those of you who've used preaching mode, I don't know if you've had the experience that I've had, is that you're using your iPad, you're preaching from your iPad, you have it there all on your screen, and there's a reference to the Bible. It's nicely highlighted, and as you're preaching, you think, oh, I'll read that verse out. Maybe I hadn't planned to do that. I hadn't added a passage block into my sermon, but in the moment, I think, no, I want to read that verse out, even though I hadn't planned to. And you tap on the verse, and it opens your Bible, but it opens it in an entirely new panel, and you can't get back to your sermon afterwards. And then you get all flustered and trying to find, where on earth has preaching mode gone? I'm now stuck in my Bible. I can't see my notes anymore. You only make that mistake once, or at least I've only made it once. But now no one's going to make that mistake, because that little pop-up I showed you works in preaching mode as well. So I can just tap on that particular verse. I can see that reference. I can obviously read it out to the congregation, but I can still, this is the important thing, isn't it? I can still see all of my notes whilst I'm preaching. Now, of course, there will be times when you really do want to open your Bible and you don't mind losing your place. You want to maybe read it in context or whatever it might be. And you can see there's an open link, and I can tap that open link, and it will then take me to the Bible. And I can read that in context, just as I was able to do that before. But now you obviously get the choice as to whether you want to do that or not. Well, okay. Well, there are a couple more minor changes that we've made, and there are several bug fixes as well. You can read all about those in the detailed release notes. But I think that's enough demonstrating from me. So I will hand over to Mike.
Yeah, Mark, a lot of positive reaction to the way pop-ups are now handled in mobile. And I will say the preaching mode one, yes, 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 and thank you so much. I almost unmuted myself, but I didn't want to distract you to just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Because yeah, I made the mistake once, and then I thought I want to use it, but I can't use it because it will totally distract me. And I don't do well in those moments like that where I get distracted. So very, very good. Okay. Handful of questions that have come in here. And let's see. One of them that came up was in reference to the versification references, right? The standardizing of those that you referred to a couple of features back. The question is that a subscription feature, or is that change coming to anybody who bought a previous version as well and is not a subscriber?
Yeah, so that's that change with the versification that works right across. They're a free user, a subscriber, base package owner. Everyone gets that.
Excellent. Okay. And then somebody else asked in same thing in regard to that. Does the verse numbering thing work with the Coverdale translation in the Book of Common Prayer, 1928?
I am not intimately familiar with that translation, I'm afraid, but it should do. We have literally hundreds of different verse maps. There's most Bibles have one or two verses that are maybe slightly different from the standard, and even if that's the case, then we do add verse mapping for that. So I'm pretty confident it will work. It certainly works in all of the Bibles that I've tested it in.
Great. Um, in regard to the fact book, which you brought up early on, how can we change the order of results, result categories in fact book, or is that even possible?
Yeah, that is not possible at the moment, I'm afraid. I know it is possible in guides, but we don't have the ability in Factbook to customize things. You can obviously switch lenses to change which sections are selected, but at the moment it's not possible to change the order, I'm afraid.
All right. Anna asks, I'm a subscriber, so how much to update to version 44 when it comes out? Anna, if you're a subscriber, you're good to go. That's it. You're set on that. That's a part of your subscription. You will continue to get those updates as they roll out and the new features. Steve asks a really good question around AI. He says, how does Logos intend to evolve its AI capabilities? It seems that Logos is including AI in more places, for example, inline search, but the basic AI functionality is limited to smart search and summarization. Are there any plans to include, for example, deep research or agentic capabilities? Cheers.
Okay, so we do have a team that is working and focused on new AI features. We're very conscious that AI is moving fast, and we need to make sure that as best as we can keep up with new technology as it evolves. Now, deep research, I think that came out for the first time, what, 3, maybe 4 months ago. Agentic research is really, really cutting edge. And we're using some of that for internal tooling, but it will be a while before anyone, never mind Logos, honestly gets agentic research into their apps. For those who don't know, the idea of agentic, the idea is that the AI becomes your agent. And rather than saying, hey, AI, I want you to do this for me, and then you read through the results and then say, oh, now can you do this thing? You just put the AI in charge, give them a job description, and then the AI kind of goes and figures it all out on its own and gets maybe little AI bots to do its work for it. And then the kind of agent AI, the one in charge, it comes back and reports back to you. Now, some of you will find that horrifying, but that's what that feature means, and that's really cutting edge technology that researchers are looking at. Now, will we ever have that in Logos? Honestly, I don't know, because it's so cutting edge that we really don't know where that's going to end up, and it's only the very big companies like OpenAI and Anthropic who are able to handle that at the moment. But are we looking at how people are using AI in real life and working to bring those things into Logos? Absolutely, we are. We do want to give you more freedom in how you use AI in Logos, and I can't promise a release date for that, but it's something that we've been working on literally all year. So you see little improvements to Smart Search and then Smart Bible Search and so on, and then maybe nothing happens for a little while, and during that nothing's really happening, we're beavering away in the background, really trying to make sure that we can do the very best we can, and thinking too, not just about what the technology makes possible, but what's wise to do in Bible study software.
Yep.
So we are not working on a auto sermon writer feature. So if you want that, I'm afraid you're in the wrong place. That's not coming to Logos. But there are certainly ways in which we can help people to research as they write their own sermons. And those are absolutely things that we are looking to bring to Logos. And you will hopefully see them in the not too distant future. They are being worked on.
Well, on the AI note, Wayne asks, is Logos AI secure?
Yes, we're very careful in the way that we use AI. There is an article on our support site that goes into a little bit more detail about this. I don't know if somebody can find it and post it maybe into the chat or somewhere. But if you Google how does Logos use AI, something like that, you should be able to find it in our support site. And one of the things that we do is that we never use your data to train AI. So if you've got notes or documents and so on, those are your notes, they're your documents. We're not using those. Nobody else is kind of benefiting from that. And we do in Sermon Assistant, we will send your sermon if you ask us to AI in order to get questions back that you could ask about your sermon, maybe in a small group. But even when we do that, it just gets sent up the once, it then gets deleted afterwards, and we don't keep a copy of that, and our AI providers don't keep a copy of that sermon.
Okay, back to the preaching mode. If you go from preaching mode to a Bible link, can you get back to the preaching mode via the back arrow in the top left corner, just left of the Bible icon? Like, how do you get back? Because you did show us, Mark, you showed us the pop-up, but you didn't actually click through the open, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. It can be tricky to get back. If you
Yeah.
if the pop up on screen, that's fine. If you do hit open, it will open in a new panel. Often that's a new panel next to where you are, and you can swipe left from the edge of the screen to go back one panel. The problem will occur is if you've got dozens of tabs open and your Bible is like the first tab, and your preaching mode is your 10th tab or something, then you've got to go back or through 9 tabs, or you've got to go and click the tabs button to find back where you were. So that's why we've built the pop-up, because I think 99 times out of 100, when you're in preaching mode, you don't want to do that, because it can be difficult to get back to where you were.
Regarding the pop-up, Mark, is that iPad or is it on all mobile as well? Like, does that work on the iPhone as well?
Yeah, it's all mobile. I use the iPad to show you simply because it's got a bigger screen, and I thought that would be easier for you guys to see. But it works on phone, it works on Android as well.
Okay, got it. Yeah, somebody was asking about that. They said that they tried it on phone and didn't see it. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? If you have a commentary open, and I was looking for a particular quote, is it possible to find a quote from that specific book? Ron, I'm going to quickly answer that one, and the answer is yes, it is. If you have a commentary open, you can actually do a search right there in that commentary and look for that particular quote and find it that way. You will have to have some kind of an idea of what the quote is that you're looking for, but yes, you absolutely can do that. Okay, does the AI pull its information? A lot of questions on the AI today, Mark. Does the AI pull its information only from your library or from the internet as well? Great question.
We don't run an internet search when we use AI. Again, the article that I mentioned earlier does go into more detail about this. But something like Smart Synopsis, for example, is only pulling information from the search results that you've just searched. It's not pulling information generally. The same for summarization. When you summarize a book, it's only pulling information from that one book, not generally. In Sermon Assistant, where we want a bit more creativity, in Sermon Assistant, the idea is to generate ideas for the pastor to think through. We don't necessarily want to tie those to the sermon, let's say. That's a problem. It's not in the sermon. You want to add it to that. We don't necessarily want to tie it just to books, that include sermon illustrations and so on. So we do let the AI have a little bit more freedom in Sermon Assistant, but everywhere else, it's coming from your books. And in no cases are we searching the internet generally, but we are searching your books, particularly in Smart Synopsis.
Okay, Michelle, I think hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. It looks like how it's spelled. Asks you, when you were walking through the collapsing of categories, Mark. This is related to that. Is there a means of collapsing all the categories at once? Is there a collapse all feature and expand all feature, Mark?
There is not at the moment, but I guess as we keep adding categories, maybe we need to think about building that.
Yeah, that's a good call. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at on time too? Okay, actually, you know what we'll do now is let's go ahead and transition. I want to make sure Mark's got some time to show us what's coming up next in future versions of Logos. And then if we still have some time at the end, we'll come back to do some more questions. Mark, you ready to transition into showing us what's next?
I am ready, yes.
All right, sounds good.
So what you can see on my screen is not the version that we've just been talking about that's been released. So that was version 43 that released earlier this week. Everything we've said up until now was all about version 43, but we're now transitioning to what's coming up probably in August. So as I always say when I do these demos, this is an internal build. It hasn't gone through quality testing. So if something doesn't work quite right, the app might even crash. But this was kind of built this morning. Now, the first improvement that is coming in version 44 in August is to the new tab functionality. So you remember, if you're a subscriber, we introduced new tab a couple of releases ago, and we've now expanded that by adding a feature which many of you asked us to do, and that is the ability to be able to filter through the list of things that you might want to open next. So if I type in Grace, for example, then I'm going to see books from my library that mention Grace, and I'm also going to see documents that mention Grace in the title. Now, this is, if I type in sermon, for example, you'll see it's not just books and documents that we're searching through here. We've got tools, we've got guides, we've got workflows, we've got documents, we've got guide sections, and so on. So we're looking right the way through all of those things. And we're able even to use, if you're an advanced user and you've learned library filter syntax, then you can even use that in here as well. So if I wanted to say, do publisher IVP, then I'm seeing all of the books that IVP have published, just as I could in my library. Now this works both in the everything view. So here, particularly if I click more, that's everything that I have in my library. But if I go and click on the reference tab here, you might remember from a couple of demos ago, what we're doing here is we're showing you all of the tools, all of the books that reference or study Acts 22:16. In this case, that was the verse that I happened to be on when I clicked the new tab button. So what I'm seeing now is all of the books in my library that discuss Acts 22:16 that are published by IVP, because that's what I've got in my filter. Of course, if I remove the filter, then perhaps that, oh, I've just frozen my app. That's no good. But if I was to remove that filter, then you'd see all of the books that are there. I did warn you that it might go wrong. Okay, I'm going to switch to my iPad, and whilst I'm doing that, try and get that app working at the same time. That's going to be fun, isn't it? Let's do my best. So share screen for my iPad. And while I'm doing that, close the app that just froze. Okay, so what can we do on the iPad? What we have on the iPad that is coming, I say iPad, this will be Android, phones, just the mobile app in general. This improvement will come in version 44, hopefully in August, and that is big improvements to the word info card. So in the word info card, let me long press on a word here in my English Bible. That will switch me to word mode. You can see that at the top of the Insights panel there. And the word info card has now been rearranged. Let me maximize that by tapping on those two little arrows in the top corner of the word info card. And you'll see now, hopefully, a much nicer looking and easier to interact with word info card. And one of the big improvements of this is that, again, previously the word info would pop up. When you'd read it, you'd have to close it, then go to the next word, pop up again, close it. Because we have this insights and this ability to maximize, I can just move to these different words, and I'm able to see everything. I don't have to keep things don't have to keep popping up or not, as the case may be. Now, what else can you do? You can tap, if you say, well, it says here that this is the lemma, but I don't even know what a lemma is. You can tap on the word lemma, and you will get a little pop-up that will help you to understand what that means. Or the same, if you don't know what nominative means, you can tap on that and you'll get an explanation of what all those different bits of morphology will mean for you. So I hope that will be helpful for those of you who are getting started with the original language. The other thing that's possible to do now, which wasn't possible before, is that you can change which lexicon that you use without having to mess about with your resource priority. Resource priority is a little bit complicated to change, honestly. You can only change it on desktop. But now here on the mobile app, you're able to change your lexicon and choose a different one from your collection, and that will be remembered then as you go through. The other thing that's improved about this word info is that you can see here I've got the word feast selected, but actually the Greek term doesn't just translate the word feast, it translates the phrase. I've got that the wrong way around, hasn't it? The Greek word is translated by a phrase, not a single word. And that phrase, as you can see at the top of the word info, is master of the feast. So we're doing a much better job where we have a kind of a single Greek word that's translated by a phrase, or maybe the other way around. We're doing a better job when multiple words are selected. So if I select a few words here, that was too many. Let's reduce that a bit. Still too many. Let me try that again. Sorry, this is what happens when you do a live demo with stuff that's coming up soon. Good wine. How about I choose that one? So there we go. So you can see here, I've selected 3 words. I'm seeing all of those in word info. So I'm able to look at each individual word separately as I want to. Previously, in the existing mobile app, sometimes when you do that, word info card ends up kind of munging different bits together, and it can be a little bit confusing, but hopefully that makes it much clearer now, so you know which words that you're looking at. So if you're somebody who uses word info a lot on mobile, I really think you're going to love that when that comes out in August in version 44. Now, whilst all that was going on, I did try to get my desktop version back up and running. So let me share my screen again, and we can go back, because there are a couple of other things that I wanted to show you there as well. So you remember a moment ago, I showed you the new tab filtering. That was the first improvement that we were bringing to desktop. But the second one then is that we've added a counseling lens to Factbook. The reason we've done that, or one of the things that we've also done that, is that we've actually moved the counseling guide into Factbook to use that new lens. Now, I know many of you absolutely love guides. I love guides too. I use them all of the time. But there are lots of different guides, and often when you want to study a topic from lots of different angles, let's say you're looking at the topic of marriage, for example, maybe you'll want a biblical perspective, but then perhaps soon you'll want a theological perspective on marriage, and maybe a little bit later a counseling perspective on marriage. Now, with guides, you've got to open a different guide to get all of those different perspectives. But with Factbook, you don't have to do that. The lens bar helps you to do that. As I've said before, don't worry, by the way, that it's going to freeze on me again. Don't worry, by the way, that it says guidebook up here. That's just to remind me that I'm using a different version than everybody else. So as I go to marriage here, you'll see that I have this counseling lens. So this is new, and here's all the information, some of which used to be in the counseling guide, some of which is existing Factbook data that's now constrained to counseling themes. So you can see counseling resources. These were 3 different sections in the counseling guide. We've brought them all over, or we will be doing that. Dictionaries and journals were obviously already there as well. So there we have the counseling lens in Factbook. And I mentioned that we've moved counseling guide over. So if I was to go to the guides menu and choose the counseling guide, what that will actually do is that will open the Factbook, and it will give me a little explanation to explain that that's happened. I don't think this link works yet, but it will work, and it will give you more information about that. So that'll take maybe a little bit of getting used to, but I think once you have got used to it, you'll find it much easier to quickly access those counseling materials. Now, if you've previously purchased the counseling guide with a base package, then you'll have full access to all of those counseling sections in Factbook. You won't lose anything, even if you're not a subscriber. You'll just need to go to a different place to access the things that you used to access in the guide. Okay, there'll be a few other little bits and pieces as well that will be coming in version 44 in August, but those are the three main things: filtering on the new tab, the counseling guide moving across into Factbook, and those improvements to the word info card on mobile. Back to you, Mike.
All right. Well, we have a few minutes here to answer some more questions. One of the one of the ones, Mark, he caught it really quick. He just wrote guidebook question mark. He was on it. Good eye on that one, David. All right. Let's see here. So a few in regard to something you mentioned earlier with the translator. Somebody who's part of SIL International, which is a wonderful, wonderful ministry that does translation for those of you who are not aware. But they ask, will the translator feature Workplace with Logos ever be made available to those in SIL?
Yeah, we're working with Paul at SIL at the moment, and to see whether we can make that happen for people in SIL. I can't give any more details at the moment, other than say we are working with Paul to see if we can figure that out.
Another translate related question. Brian says, in my pro subscription, I enable translate by tools/translate. In your desktop example, it looked like translate was part of the Insights pane. How did you enable that?
That was my iPad, not my desktop. So on iPad, it's part of Insights, but on desktop, as you've described it, go into the Tools tab and then choosing Translate is the right way to do it.
Okay. Let's see here. Came in late, but I saw Factbook Insights. How do I do that? I don't see that in my Logos. Robert, just make sure if you're a subscriber, make sure that you have just updated to the most recent version, which came out on Tuesday, and you should see that feature enabled for you. All right. What else do we have? Oh, here we go. Thomas writes, can I decrease the font size of the Insights card apart from the Bible text size? If so, how?
Not separately, no. I think when you change your view settings, I think it changes it both for the text and Insights. They can't be changed independently, I'm afraid.
All right. Robert also asks, love the new word info. But I will say this too, Mark. I think everything mobile you showed got hands down the most reactions throughout this entire the entire time together. Both the look ahead and what just released. People are loving those updates to the mobile. So, but this is related to that. Love the new word info, but how will that look on mobile vertically?
Yeah, it works surprisingly well. Although I've demoed with my iPad today, most of the time that I've used it over the last week or two has been on my phone. Sometimes sitting in church, and that's all I've got with me. I showed you here with a sidebar on the right hand side because I was kind of in landscape mode. If you're in portrait mode, as you would be on a phone, that Insights panel takes up the kind of bottom half of the screen. You're able to maximize it there, and it works pretty well.
All right. Here's another one. Is the Insights sidebar configurable?
Not at the moment. The only thing you can do with the Insight sidebar is you can collapse and expand the headings, but that's all.
Okay. All right. I've gotten to most of the ones related to everything shown here today. So I'm going to expand a little bit and just take on some of the other questions that have come in, Mark. And this one is near and dear to my heart, Mark, I will say. So, Tim, thank you for this question. Are there any plans to give prioritization a facelift?
I shouldn't have mentioned it, should I? And said
You
it was.
should.
I remember before I ever worked for Logos, I remember some people in Logos reaching out to me and a number of other people who were active on the forums at the time saying, hey, we're thinking about updating prioritization. Could you give us some feedback on those ideas? That must have been, I don't know, 8-10 years ago, something like that. And I would dearly love to do that. However, what we tend to do nowadays when we develop new features is we want to make sure that those new features work right across the board, and not just on desktop, in other words, but they work across all platforms. That's really important to us, and it's a frustration, as I mentioned earlier, that you can't change prioritization on mobile. You've got to fire up the desktop app.
Right.
So when we do it, we want to make sure that we can do it right across all platforms. And unfortunately, there are some kind of really foundational technical challenges that prevent us from doing that on mobile and on web. Now, we are focused on removing those obstacles, and almost every month there are things that happen in the background that improve back-end support on web and mobile and bring that up to the standard on desktop, and we've made really huge strides in that. So we're much closer than we were to being able to do it. But until we've got that foundation in place on mobile and web, we don't really want to do it just on desktop and then kind of be stuck there on desktop. So it will come, but I can't promise it being soon. I'm sorry.
Okay. Gosh, a lot of really good questions. Trying to decide which one's prioritize. Okay, so a couple of recent ones that came in. Will Markdown ever be supported in Notes?
Maybe. It's not something we've seriously considered, honestly. I think our emphasis has been more on trying to make it easy to use. But I know that it is a popular format, and it's not out of the question, depending on kind of what underlying editor we would use when we get around to doing it. But it's not imminent again, I'm afraid.
Okay. Lots of comments now responding to prioritizing resources, Mark. All right. I see there were several questions that came in about people showing an older version 42, 40, or earlier. How can I update it? This comes up pretty much every time we do this. I'll give you two responses to that. One, I would say if you want to make sure you're staying up to date, please make sure you go into your settings and have auto check or auto update set to on. And that your time, it even gives you options of when to do it versus time wise, because some people would prefer to have it maybe update while they're asleep if they leave Logos open, etc. So make sure that those settings are all set correctly for you. It should automatically update Logos for you in those cases. Sometimes you might need to close it and reopen it for it to do a check and then do the update. If those are not working or seemingly not working, the other thing that you can do is like with so if in the very top left, it depends on whether you've got your left menu expanded or not. But if it's not expanded and you're just seeing your icons, you click the Logos icon in the very top left, it'll give you an input field. Just start typing the word update. I think Mark's going to show you. Yep. You start typing the word update. It will populate a list of commands. The first one that shows up should give you, come on, you can do it. There it is, update now. And you select that and it will look and it will grab the newest version. In this case, Mark's expanded. So again, either way, click the Logos icon on the very top left there or type in that input field. But that's how you're going to get to make sure that you're getting the newest version. Okay, this is probably going to be the last one. And this one was just somebody like a little demo here, Mark. Could you please demonstrate the method that would be used to capture the sense of a verse, for example, Ephesians 4:23, and result in a list of related verses and references to articles in my books?
The sense of a verse, related articles in your books. Was that the question?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I would probably use there's two ways you can do it. You can do a search. So I could do a books search. I don't remember what you said now. Ephesians 4:23, I think.
4:23. Yeah, that's correct.
So if I do a book search, I happen to have all systematic theologies. That's a collection I've got selected, but I could have done this through the whole library. If I group by book, as I've got here, and then sort by count, you can see that the books that discuss that verse most often appear at the top. If I change the grouping to none, then you should be seeing articles that are referencing that verse. So that's one thing you can do. Literally just type in the verse in search. But I'd probably use either Factbook or Passage Guide to do the same thing. So Ephesians 4:23 will give me a little bit more kind of focus, perhaps. And that allows me to see commentaries. If I go to the library, allows me to see commentaries or journals or sermons on that particular topic. And that can be very useful if you want to look for those things. The other thing that I would say, if this is not too many tools, is the new tab feature that I showed you earlier. Once you've opened something to Ephesians 4:23, and then you click the new tab button, this assumes you're a subscriber, you can then filter by reference.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing here then is I've got Bibles, obviously, on Ephesians 4:23. I've got commentaries. I've got study Bibles. I've got apparatus. I've got harmonies, and so on. And I can keep scrolling down, and there's more and more
I
things.
love that so
So,
much. Yeah.
this is probably the best of those if you're a subscriber. But you do need, all you need to do is need to open a Bible to the reference you're interested in, hit new tab, and then, as I showed you before, select the reference at the top here.
Mark, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Before we wrap up, we are at the hour here. If you want to get your hands on the newest version of Logos, the subscription version of Logos, want to encourage you to go to logos.com/WNWL. That's short for what's new with Logos, logos.com/WNWL. And you can check out the newest version, our subscription version of Logos there. There will also be a link in the chat for it in case you missed that. Also, if you want to talk to somebody about customizing your library, I highly, highly recommend calling our sales team. They are Logos lovers and users themselves, and they are very, very adept at being able to help somebody customize their library based on their needs. That is really where Logos starts to shine and become so powerful, when you have the resources in your library that you need to do the work that you're doing. So really want to recommend that you give them a call so they can help you craft that library and make it a good fit for you. That number, again, we'll put this in the chat, but that number is 888-512-2583, 888-512-2583. I need to write a jingle for that. All right, that is a wrap for today's Logos feature release and updates webinar. Mark, as always, thank you so much for showing off the latest and greatest in Logos. Such a blessing and fun time to do so. And a massive thank you to all of you for your participation and engagement. I say it always, and I mean it always. Your questions, your feedback, the suggestions that you offer, they really do help, and they really do drive us to continually improve and enhance Logos, so that it continues to be an amazing product that all of us love and use. So again, thank you for all of that. We were really, really grateful for it. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, everyone, happy studying.